Hi, can you see me? Yeah, so I was preparing, but I also needed to eat dinner because I'm not drinking on an empty stomach. But tonight is brought to you by Sangria because I like sweet drinks and I've never made it by myself before. But yesterday, I posted this for the members only. I cut up some fruit and it was infusing all night. And as predicted, my puppy dog wants some of this. Look at this. Oh, she's so cute. Okay, so what are we doing? We're live. We sold my condo. It's only been more than 2 years and 5 different contracts, 6 different attempts. But I can stop complaining about it now. So we got that going for us, which is nice, which means it basically become like a part of my personality. Like I own this stupid condo. So I'm gonna have to find something new to complain about, but such is life. I wound up only putting fruit in here. I didn't put any cinnamon or maple syrup. There's a lot of weird recipes out there, and I was like, I don't know. But this tastes good to me, just like it is. Hopefully, you all can see me. Can you? Okay. So someone can see that it was sangria, so I like that. We're good. Thank you, Brian. And all of you that are congratulating me on selling my condo, because for one last time, I'm thinking about just getting more sangria now while I'm talking. I drink rather slow. Not keeping the bottle, or it's not really even a bottle. Y'all are just going to have to understand that I don't want to pour liquid right over where my laptop is. So, yeah. So, I guess we can go through. Congratulations, Randy. And hopefully it doesn't go like how mine did. I bought it in December 2018. I was actually playing Pokemon Go, and we were taking down a gym together, or doing a raid. And someone mentioned that they were buying a condo, and then I was like, I wonder if that's affordable for me. And so I did a bunch of research, and I did data mining to figure out like which condos I wanted, and it was really not that much more expensive if you're going to be there for a while. And I'd lived in the area for 3 years, and I thought, because my sister had 4 children there, that I was going to be there for a long time. So it made sense at the time to buy a condo. I bought it downtown DC, right on top of the Friendship Arch. Thank you, Norman. He said I look younger. Okay. But yeah, when I got it, I bought it for $405,000, and the HOA fees were $550 a month. I've been checking it out because I was like, okay, what did it cost and what wound up happening? So, since I didn't have a car, it wound up being the HOA plus the mortgage were it was like 60% of my take-home pay, but it was like basically the same. I figured it was like a car payment. I didn't have a car, so it made it more expensive. And then I sold it today, was official at like 11:30. $280,000. So it lost almost half of the value. And my HOA was $900, almost $1,000 this year. So what happens is when your HOA gets more expensive, the price of your condo goes down to make up for that, because no one wants to spend $1,000 a month, and it and it be a $400,000 condo. And they changed the rules for how mortgages can be. It's called warrantable. So like they wouldn't actually grant people mortgages, which is how basically half of my sales fell through. So no lender would let a buyer own my condo until I had a cash buyer this time. So did I lose money? Yes. It's not a rule to increase the HOA fee per year. It just depends. Like there is a new rule to, your HOA has to be fully funded, which my HOA fee was always, like, my condo association was always fully funded. And they have to have a financial plan and, have the forecast and collect enough money so that if something breaks, they have enough money and we don't get special assessments. So it's like, do you want cheap HOA fees and then get $1 million assessment that's split between 100 owners? Or do you want them to just increase the HOA fee as expenses? Like we had like a 24-hour concierge and security. So, I mean, things do increase, and with the inflation and everything, it just someone said, I like it when my pets comment in my trades. Well, thank you all for liking that, because there's no stopping them. There is no place in my house that they don't go. So if I had done this differently, there was a couple of other houses that I had put in like my top list. And one of them was a townhouse that was like in Alexandria, right on the river. And I'd never actually wound up seeing it, but it was a townhouse and it had like a loft with a skylight. And I think during the pandemic, when I'm at home all the time, just like not sharing all that air with everybody and being able to actually go out onto the river walk and like go out, I would have been much happier. I probably would have still been in Alexandria, but I decided to be the most convenient. So, yes, I did add direction. I haven't updated this week, but I'll do it when I get off the phone here. But thank you all for coming. I really appreciate that. I did spend some time today just like, I was looking at what my net worth is, which is kind of a useless indicator because, like, do I feel rich? No. It's mostly because, like, my trailer I live in right now does have value in it, but it's a depreciating asset. So it's basically like a glorified refrigerator. And I'm not selling my trailer because I live in it. And I do have insurance on it. So if there's like a tornado or something, then it has value for insurance purposes, which is nice. But other than that, like there's no dollar value to my trailer as far as I feel. And the same thing goes with my truck. Like, I'm not selling it. I'm not completely underwater, but I'm not selling it. So it doesn't really hold any values to me. But I do have a positive total net worth of around $280,000 right now. So, but that's including like, it's not called nav erosion on the trailer. The place I bought it from, they have a buyback program. So, yeah, so I figured out StreamYard for this. I'm glad it's working out for us. I can do more live streams after this. I might have to buy the premium version, but it's not that expensive. They want to see you, babes. They said you're in the hallway. Yes, because everything else is messy. Do you want some? You can't have any. It's for mommy. Yeah, you can't have that either. Dog doesn't believe me. Yeah, that's totally going to. He wants his butt scratched. But yeah, so for me, my biggest concerns right now are I would really love to not get margin called, and I want to earn enough money to be able to continue not to have a job because I just don't have a job. So yeah, it's not really, we just went for walks, and then I had dinner because I was like, yeah, let's not let's not drink too much on an empty stomach. So and it's a work in progress, my trailer with everything. Okay. I am reading Wolf 5047. He says net worth isn't just a number, it's how you live on the money you have. For some, that was not the correct pause right there, but some people have millions and isn't enough, and some people a few 100,000 is enough. And for me, I'm trying to make 100,000 enough with margin. I think it'll be doable. Thank you, Anne. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Teddy appreciates that too. So yeah, it really is about, like, I want to minimize my expenses, which is easier said than done. I'm kind of locked in for the moment with my personal loan and everything. Oh, by the way, today's financial philharmonics, it was the debt shuffle. I tried to do like a line dance. It wound up more to be like a electric dance, like a dance song. But for now, I got the cash advance that's 0% until May to pay off my generator, which was going to it's a mobile home. It's a single wide. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's great, honestly. So I think I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I'm just trying. Oh, I did the debt shuffle. So I did pay the 5% fee to have it so that I could pay my generator off until May next year and not not till December, because it's still like a $10,000 thing. So so I am applying to one thing every day, Monday through Thursday, because I have applied for unemployment and you have to do 4 times a week. But I'm really hoping that with my investments, I can not only do my minimum payments, but also get through until May, when yes, please continue to hit me. Show them how abusive you are, Teddy. So once my expenses are down, it'll be easier for me to just live off of my dividends, and it won't be that comfortable for a while, but I want to try to, I made my business and I want to launch a Yield Calci, which will have like actual subscriptions and stuff. So okay, yeah, so for solar, we actually have a huge pasture here, so eventually we're going to put solar in the fields. And I say we because, like, my dad's house is a stone throw away from me. So we'll get solar at some point. Right now, my electric bill's usually like 150, which is way more than my condo, but it is what it is. It's actually much cheaper in the summer. It's only averages like $65 in the summer, but in the winter, because my dogs like to just hang half in and half out of their doggy doors, it costs quite a lot in the winter to heat my house. Oh, I didn't get. So the custom cash paid off my generator. I had some left over, but I just kind of left it in the account, and so it basically just replaced loan. I didn't get more loans yet. I did apply for a new one that has 20 months of 0% APR just as an emergency fund. But I haven't done the cash advance with that yet. It's more for like if the entire stock market freaks out, then I need to set it up now so that in the future, if I have to come up with $5,000, then I don't have to take it out of my IRA. Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with what this is. I'm going to be happier when I pay off my personal loan and I feel better about like just taking like day trips and stuff. I was an Asian studies major in college, and I lived in China for 3 years after college. And while I was living in China, I traveled all over China, and I even spent like 2 months in Japan, and like I've been to Italy and Africa with my mom, and I just like don't have that many more places I want to go on vacation, really, and not like my dogs will let me. So I'm kind of an introvert. I'd rather go to like virtual events and go on day trips to like fortresses and museums and do like craft fairs and stuff. That's pretty much my ambition. And trying to get Yield Calci, which I keep talking about, but like today, I was going through the net worth stuff, and instead of actually, I have to actually form the series underneath my LLC, but instead I was on the phone all afternoon because my HSA accounts from 2 of my previous employers now need to get rolled over, and so like I had to like get that taken care of today. So eventually there won't be that much more admin stuff, and I can actually sit down and program. But that's very kind of you. Thought I was a music major. No, I don't play any instruments. My first year in China, I kind of started learning the erhu, but other than that, which is like the Chinese violin. But other than that, no. I used to be intermediate level Chinese, but I don't use it anymore. So before the pandemic, I was working on a website called Glot Squat, and it was just like there hasn't really been any innovations since hi Health and Wealth. Thank you for coming. Anyways, there just hasn't been any innovation in the language learning space since Duolingo. So I was trying to do that, but then I got sidetracked with a different side project, and the pandemic happened, and here we are. So, hey, Health and Wealth, how are you today? I am doing great. I do not have a condo anymore. This is amazing. I'm just drinking some sangria out of my Disney mug, which we bought this. This was like a McDonald's thing that you could buy. What is Duo? I was like, what is Duo L? It's Duolingo. Okay, that makes sense. I just believed that there was you can learn languages through gaming. Like, I don't drink quickly, even when I am drinking. So I'm not sure about this. But I did buy fajitas. That is my dinner for this week. And so for the rest of the week, whatever I don't drink, I'll just have sangria with with my dinner for the rest of the week. I promised you all that I would do a beginner's guide to options. For me, selling, like there's 4 things you can do with options. You can sell calls, you can sell puts, or you can buy calls, or you can buy puts. But selling made more sense to me. It always has. Let's say you don't have the 100 shares, because it all involves 100 shares. So let's take like MSTU, for example, because I haven't looked at it lately, but it was cheap last time I checked. What is it? And no, MSTU is not safe. It's not a safe investment, but it does help with just doing a very straightforward strategy for calls. So, excuse me. For right now, it is $5.16. So you just multiply that by 100. So if you just bought 100 shares of MSTU right now, it would be $516. But if you're like, well, if you were actually just buying 100 shares, you probably wouldn't do a market order. You would do a limit buy and say, I'm not going to buy it unless it's under $5. So then what's the big difference between putting a limit order and selling a put? So so you say, I will buy it for $5. It is $5.16 or 22 cents. It's above $5 right now. So I will go ahead, and I like MSTR, and I like, I like this stock. I like the underlying. I wouldn't mind owning 100 shares. Like, don't threaten me with a good time, So instead of a limit order, you sell a put on it, and it says, okay, well, I'm going to get $20 for this, just so that at the end of the week, you can tell me whether I own this for $5 or I don't own it, and I just get to keep $20. So it's like your limit order expired, and then the next week you say, like, now it's $4.99. Okay, well, now I'm going to do a put for $4.50. And you just put, when you sell your put, it's below the current price. So even if it goes below that price, they say that you lose money, but it's like, it's less money than it was right now. So, okay, yeah. So Wolf says, I like MSTU and MSTX, but I read it out far enough that, I will I'll hopefully never own it. And that's easier with MSTX than it is with MSTU, only because MSTU did their 10x forward split. And so it's harder to be further out of the money because now it's at like $5 as opposed to, like, I think MSTX was like 23 or 25. Like, I remember there was when I first discovered MSTX, it was around this price, and then it shot up to like $90, and I was like, oh, that's a little out of my price range, and now it's back down to $25. But yeah, when it's that, then you can choose, like, okay, what's the yield I want to get from this? So it's both at what price would I like to own this at, and what, like, it has 130% implied volatility right at the money. But when you go further out of the price, the implied volatility gets lower. So it's like, okay, well, maybe I want a 90% yield. I just want to match or do just a little bit better than MSTR or MSTY. And so you could do it and get, you can get a similar yield to MSTY on MSTX, and you just put it way further out of the option, like out of the money. So you're less likely to get assigned because it's that far out of the money, which was always nice with MSTX. So selling puts, that's easy. I don't own 100 shares. I would like to own 100 shares, or not like to own, but I wouldn't mind it. It's not the worst thing in the world. And it doesn't have to be MSTU. What I would suggest, like, I know that other brokers might have things like that, but there's the baby girl. So get a watch list going, and just, they have filters, and you can find a high implied volatility in your price range, and you can just find, because it's hard to find stocks that are both cheap and things that you want to own or like wouldn't mind owning, because there are other ways to obtain these kind of stocks that are cheaper, but doing a simple dividend wheel, it's much harder to actually lose money. Because like, what happens if you put the put out there, you sell the put for $5, it goes down to $4.70. So you bought this at $5, but that's okay because it was $5.22 at the beginning of the day. So next week it opens at like $3. So now you're trying to sell calls on it because now you own 100 shares, and like, you either want to actually get rid of it or you just want to make money off of it. And if you're just making money off of it, you just put it further out of the money, and then you just get money, and then hopefully it won't rise that much. Okay, yeah, I'm reading. Well, so the problem with YieldMax and most of the high yield ETFs is that they pay 60%, but you lose the cost basis. That's because they're very, very aggressive with their the calls that they sell. And so when the stock doesn't stay in the Bollinger Band, or it goes in the opposite direction, they have to buy to close, it costs more money. So options, you do make more money, but they're also expensive when you guess wrong. So that's the lesson that I've learned from doing my own options with you all. Like, I would do really well. I would get like twice what XDTE is getting with my leaps. And then all of a sudden it would go against me and I would lose a lot of my actual money. The good thing with YieldMax is I agree to the amount of money, the most amount of money I'm willing to lose when I first invest in it. I'm never going to lose more than the $100 I invested in it, because I'm not leveraged like that. So with options, you can over leverage yourself and you can lose way more money than what you actually made. So it's just a different set of risks. And when we're talking about things like MSTR, I might have $30,000, but one trade should not be more than 10% of your portfolio, and probably even less. So I don't have a few $1 million in my portfolio in order for MSTR to be like a proportionate bet inside of my portfolio, which is another reason why I keep talking about MSTU, is because, it's a $500 bet on a $100,000 portfolio. So it's more reasonable, of the sizing of the actual contract is more reasonable to my portfolio. So I also, I view it as if I was as aggressive as YieldMax, I would also be losing this money doing my own options. I would just be losing the actual money instead of it coming back as being like a, not really a tax write-off, but they do it as a return of capital, which is more tax sheltered than me doing my own options. So when you do your own option, your cost basis is $0. So whatever profit you make is just income, as opposed to when you buy into these ETFs and it's return of capital, then you can defer some of the taxes until you sell it. And also, when I was doing options, and I would love to do it again, it's just that my margin is really out of whack right now. And I just need to focus on like throwing money into the pile, into the fire until we're at least at 50%. And then I can get back into, because options are not marginable. So it's 100% margin maintenance, which makes it harder. like you can't be in as much, but they're good for like in the market downturn because it counts towards your margin, but the value doesn't decrease. So that's how in like March and April, I didn't get a margin call because it was all an option of collateral. So, but being in a mix of doing your own calls and in these ETFs, I think is good because it kind of hedges, like they hedge each other. Like you can put out calls that are further out of the money, so you won't get wrecked as much as these. Or if you accidentally wind up being too aggressive, at least you'll be making money automatically with these ETFs. So I do like, I'm not afraid of doing my own options, but I tended to be like way too aggressive, especially so there's leaps, and leaps is when you buy a call and you do it at least 1 year out, and buying, I always have to think about it because it's like everything is the same but opposite. So selling a call obligates you to sell the 100 shares at that price if the ending price is above the strike price. But when you buy a call, it's giving you the right to buy it at that price, but you don't have to. So like you have the right but not the obligation, as opposed to if you get the premium to begin with, then you have the obligation. So you buy the call, it's at least a year out, and I was doing just go to the furthest expiration, try to get it at the 0.15, 0.2 delta. That way it's behaving basically the same as the underlying. And then, so it's like on the leaps, it was like going to be, or sorry, for the SPY leaps, it was like $50,000 to own 100 shares versus you buy the leaps and it's $10,000. Okay, well, if you do it at $10,000, then you can own 5 of the leaps for the same as just owning 100 shares of SPY by just buying it. And it just depends on how in or out of the money you are and when in the expiration you are buying it. So the closer we are to expiration and the closer you are to in the money, the cheaper buying the call will be because it has lost the intrinsic value. But the point of that is brokerages like Robinhood, they will not let you get assigned your leaps. So you have to be less aggressive with what you do. And I found myself, I don't like the staircase up, like when the SPY just keeps, it keeps increasing in price. And I don't like buying to close my options. I'd rather just roll them forward, but I kept getting into trouble because I was too aggressive, and then I refused to spend money to close it. And so it just compounded until I lost, like, I could look back because I recorded it, but it was a lot of money. And so it's really fun in the down market though, because you roll down your options and you can make like $1,000 a day on each leaps. But the way that they work is you have to have, for those calls when you're doing the leaps, because it's poor man, so you don't actually have, like, if you are just doing your MSTU dividend wheel, you sell your put, you get 100 shares, and then you do your cover call, and then if it gets assigned, then you just lose your 100 shares, and then you just do it again. And so you don't have to worry about, is this getting assigned? Is it not getting assigned? Because you've looked at it and you said, well, I'm okay with losing this at $6. I'm okay with getting this at $4 or whatever. When you do leaps, you can't be assigned because it's not synthetic, but it's your collateral cannot be assigned. So like they let you play, but it's not your money. So you have to go a little further out of the option. Can't be as aggressive. And so you have to have a rule of like, when I have made this much money, I have to buy to close it. And you can't have a number in your head of like, I'm going to make 12 cents every day, because when you do that, you're going to wind up being too aggressive, and then it's going to cost you money. So am I perfect at doing it? No, I'm not in leaps right now, but you only need like 10 leaps contracts and do the 0 day option, and then you can retire off of that. Like, it's possible. Yeah. And like, you can move it over to the future, but like I did that with Misty one time and it got assigned anyway. And I was like, I made a whole song about it because I was kind of heartbroken. I was like, you had like 6 more months before you expired. Why are you assigning me now? So yeah. It's just one of those things where like at a certain point, do you want to like just let it be in like the parking lot and not making you any money? You just have the leaps, because like you don't have to do the cover call portion of the leaps. You can just own like a leveraged position in like SPY and wait 2 years and then sell the call to close it and make a bunch of money. So like you make money in both directions as long as, you know, the SPY goes up or whatever goes up, because it doesn't have to be SPY, but people recommend the SPY because it has the volume, it has good implied volatility. Like you can, it's not as like to me, it's the S&P 500. So it, like I don't mind owning the S&P 500 because it's the S&P 500. So the only thing is I think they need to do like a forward split of the SPY, because it's just, I want to do a regular like dividend wheel on it, not a leaps. And that's just because you find old YouTube videos recommending it. And yeah, it made sense when it was like $100, but now it's $500. So it's not as easy to make it a proportional amount of your portfolio without doing things like leaps. And then there's things like credit spreads. And oh, this is sangria. I usually drink white sangria with my mom because she doesn't like red wine, but red is more traditional, and that's what Sam's Club had. This is the first time adding my own, you know, fruit and stuff. So we got that going for us. So yeah, call spreads are nice. You actually wind up getting a lot of profit because it's like you bought the call and you bought and sold a call on the same expiration day, but with different strike prices. So you say like, as long as for calls, like as long as the price stays below this, I make my max amount of profit, and then it goes up, and you make no profit, and then you don't make any of the gains either. But it's happened to me. I was doing the put spreads, and in December they just like the IWM just like fell out the bottom, and so I lost all the money. And so they're dangerous because when you lose, yeah, these are from like 20 years ago from McDonald's. We never throw anything away. But I think I have the whole set. Just like nice big McDonald's cups. They just have facts about Disney on them. I like reading. It's fine. But yeah, so like I was doing before I got laid off from Booz Allen, some call spreads on SPX, and you can make a lot of money. But SPX is kind of the only way I found to make money was actually just choose the highest strike price I could with the $500 and just close it out the first, like I wanted to make 10 cents a day. So as soon as it made 10 cents, I just closed it and, move on to the next day. And so like with those spreads, you have to be more disciplined about excuse me, I'm actually gonna have to spend money to close this. And yeah, like when you do the leaps as well, like Robinhood wouldn't let me do a very far out of the money leaps and not buy to close it. So because I'm using a leaps, so they don't want to have any kind of chance. So I would have gone out and been like, I'm making $1 today. But since I had to buy to close it, and I'm not sure with the SPY you have to go up to 5 cents, but some of the smaller ones you have to go up to 5 cents. You have to be more aggressive with where you place your strike for the 0 day to expiration, because you have to buy to close it so it eats into your profit. And then you can't do 0 day to expiration and not be a pattern day trader, which is something I figured out because you do it within the same day. So it counts as being a pattern day, but there's really no downfalls to being a pattern day trader as long as you have more than $25,000. So I think the worst part about the restrictions are you have to find them organically. It feels like, even though I read a lot of the documentation before I started, it's like, oh, well, I didn't realize that was a thing until I came across it. I tried to do the leaps in my IRA. I didn't know that you can't sell calls on your leaps. You can do a leap, you can do options and you can buy calls in your IRA, but you can't sell calls on that leaps. So in the IRA. So that was just something that I came across because I wanted to do leaps in my IRA and not in my taxable account. Yeah, they have different margin maintenance for the same ETFs at Robinhood. My Misty was at 75% for the longest time, and I sold out of all of it, and now it's at 35%. So I'm not getting back into Misty anytime soon, but there is a plan to get back into Misty. So I have whatever is the highest level for my IRA. It's just that there's restrictions for how retirement accounts work. So there's just things that you can't do because it is a retirement account. Oh yeah, so this isn't my face reveal. I just my house is messy. What can I say? My house is messy, and it's much easier for me to record this beforehand. And so, like, yeah, I'll try to do this more often though, because it's not so bad. I'm wondering if I need to refill this, but I'm not quite done yet. But yeah. Overall, I think I do like doing MSTU and just like the regular dividend wheel more than I like messing around with leaps. But I think that if I wasn't so hard pressed, like when I fix my margin and I don't have my personal loan and I paid off my trailer and all my credit card debt's gone, like all the things that you're supposed to take care of before you invest, once all of those things are taken care of, then I could probably do leaps again, because then I'm not as pressed with, I need to make this much money because I'm not living off of it. So as long as I'm making enough money with these high income ETFs to make enough money, money that like the leaps are for fun, then I wouldn't mind doing them. But I don't want to like feel pressured that I need to make so much money from a leaps or from options in general, because that's when we get into trouble. Yeah, I was like, I want to hold on. I'm gonna put ice in this because I'm not bougie. Okay. Thank you for letting me get more to drink. Yeah, so I'm just reading Tony's comment about like most of the time when I sell cover calls, it just blows through my strike price. The thing is, some of these underlyings that have good momentum, they make better swing trades than they do covered calls. The reason why I say that is for cover calls, of just doing options in general, you want the strike price to generally stay between the Bollinger Band, which is why like Bitcoin and strategy, I like those. I gravitate towards those because they spend very long periods of time having high implied volatility, because they do go up and down, but it goes down like this and not like way above and just like destroying everybody's puts, and then also just destroying everybody's calls, because it goes up and down without any, like Tesla. I feel like you would be better off if you just bought it at a low, had faith that they're gonna pull together, and then sold when it shot back up. But yeah, and there's things like there's a lot of different strategies with these high income ETFs, honestly. When I have more buffer between what I need to survive and like what I'm actually earning, I will be more like, I picture myself becoming more conservative with the ETFs that I'm in. Things like SPY and T-SPY and GLDI. Like, I like when you can get like the 20 to 30% dividend distribution, at whatever cadence, and the price is either stable or goes up. And like, as long as you have faith that the underlying will go up eventually, it's fine. Like even Ulti, I was just going to ask you all, what are your takes on Ulti? Because I was a fan for a really long time, and then I was like, nope, got out of it. And then it got really hyped, and I was also still like, nope. and now I got in, and the reason why I wound up getting back in, and I should have waited, well, mostly because I was getting into a lot of other over leveraged crap, and Ulti was actually the least leveraged thing I'm in now, which says something. But yeah, Ulti also moves with the market. So if the market's trading flat and down, Ulti is going to trade flat and down. And because it has such a high implied volatility, and YieldMax's their philosophy and how they've been giving us back our stuff is like the premium they make or the implied volatility, that's what we get back. So Ulti is never going to recover quickly. So Ulti relies on a strong bull market that goes up gradually, which is what we had since May until basically this point. So that's why Ulti was Ulti looked stable, because the market was doing great. So yeah, Michael Saylor's gonna do what he does. I've just decided to have faith that in the end, MicroStrategy will gravitate back towards being a leveraged Bitcoin play. It might get out of sync for a while. They might try some stupid things, but they've been around since like the .com bust. They're gonna figure this out. And that's just how I've approached strategy. So I'm just going to enjoy Misty being less expensive for now. I've not been quiet about my prediction of Misty's going to get real cheap here. But I'm hoping it'll still be around for 4 years. And then in 4 years, I'll be glad that I bought the Misty at $10, because now it's at whatever it is. And because of the halving, it has all that implied volatility again. And so I'm okay with my decision to play Misty for 4 years just to see what happens. The return of capital thing is more like an accounting trick than just paying us back our money. Yeah, I think it depends on. I did reach out to support at one point because I was hearing rumors that some people had Misty at 35%, and I still had mine at 75%. And they said something like yours is ruled by something or other. So I think it's just like how much margin you have and like what's your mix of things. And like, so they have different triggers. So different people have different risk profiles. So they have different margin. The guy was literally like, don't compare yourselves to other, that is the thief of joy. And I was like, okay, but still, if I can beg you and get Misty for 35% margin maintenance, then yeah, so Ulti's never going to be quick to recover, but I do believe it's possible for it to be at like $7 in the future, $10 again. It just might take a really, really long time. It's also true, like it participates in the downside. So and it takes longer to recover because of how aggressive the calls are. So I think for me, I'm not, well, I have an order out that if it ever gets up to the point where I got in it, I will just sell at a not profit. Just like, sorry, that was a mistake. I used TurboTax last year and it messed up a little bit and it had me go through like 17 pages of trades. But I did something like after a while, I was like, there's like 17 like huge pages of this. I do not want to manually put this in. And I went back in and it fixed it. So yeah. No, I did not get an invite to the Robinhood Summit in Vegas. At least not that I saw. I could look. But wasn't that summit like this week? Or is it coming up? What's the summit in Vegas for? No, there was Granite Shares had like a little thing last year that I wasn't invited to, but maybe I shouldn't say like anything about that because I don't know what their criteria is for inviting people to things, but yeah. So I'm not going, you can't have this because it's alcohol, and also I'm not sure about the fruit and stuff. Okay? No more, I don't think the fruit's healthy for you. You might have the apple, but I'm not sure if citrus is good for you. Also, probably not alcohol. She is wondering why, because am I in your way? Do you need me to move? Oh yeah, so I'm probably not going to reinvest anything into ULTY. It's basically just giving me like runway. So I'm gonna be sticking with this until May next year. That's when 2 of my credit cards are paid off, and I'm probably going to lose patience with my personal loan and just like sell a bunch of equities and just make my personal loan my margin. I think I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. So yeah, last time we weighed her, you want to come up? No, you're just going to give me puppy dog eyes? Yeah, I'm just so many puppy dog eyes. The other dogs miss me too. I usually, after walkies, give them, I spend time with the other ones. These ones usually get me during the workday. But yeah, she's 93 pounds. Her brother's only like 86 pounds, but the other ones are 100 pounds. So they're big. They're mine. Oh yeah, that is definitely like, Ulti's kind of not, I think there's something called like an ulcer index. So I don't know how many of you go and listen to the YieldMax does a Twitter space at noon on Wednesdays, but you should hear them complain about the W funds from Round Hill. Basically, those are also good funds to get in when there's a dip, because I mean, I do know. Well, it's not okay. It's not shit. They make money. They give it back to me, and it's expensive to do options. So my NAV is going to go down. So, Am I the real woman behind the scenes? I was real the whole time. But I don't think you should get into Ulti expecting any kind of net appreciation. Yeah, I think if you go to testful.io, there's actually like an ulcer index. But basically, can you sleep at night? Ulti is like it fails the test. But I was in a bull market, Ulti's fine, and in a bear market, it's fine to buy Ulti. But I think afterwards I can set this to be monetized. I'm not sure if it's monetized right now. I don't know if any of you have seen a commercial. But no, I don't get paid for this. And I should look directly. I don't get paid for this. And I'm not sponsored by YieldMax. I'm not sponsored by Granite Shares or Round Hill or anybody. I still need to reach out once I actually define my series and have a business and a bank account. I'm going to reach out to YieldMax and Granite Shares first and say, hey, here's a couple of ad spots on YieldMite. I haven't figured out what I want to charge them yet, but I don't know if I need to charge them like per click or if it should be just like, give me $200 a month and you can have this ad spot on YieldMite, because I know that I have a lot of unique visitors and it's literally a website to compare funds for high income ETFs. So we are very engaged, this audience. Oh no, this is actually me. I have hairy arms. That's not like oh, you know what? That might actually be dog fur. That's why we don't wear black around here. Because they do. The wheel fell off of my rolly chair last week because there was so much dog hair, but because it fell off, I was able to get all the dog hair out. So okay. So I don't hate, well, I'm an Ulti, so that means I have to be bullish on Ulti. Just, I wish more people did options on Ulti. I think that is what's missing here. Because, and I've said this before and no one believed me, and I should do options. Because like Misty actually has a good options chain if you look at it. Like you can make an extra like 50% yield doing calls on Misty, but nobody wants to do calls on their Misty because they're going to get assigned away. So, but if we all would start doing options on Ulti, I think that's really cool because Ulti would have like an 80% implied volatility. So we could make money on this thing that's generally losing money. But since we own it and we're doing cover calls on it, we could also get the 80% distribution on it. Just putting that out there as a bad idea. This is sangria. I got it at Sam's Club. I was like, oh, it's $7 to be just like a small bottle. And then they were like, do you want it to be like bigger than your head? So I've never actually like infused my own with fruit before, but I just did mandarin oranges and a green apple and limes and stuff. So oh yeah, so we were talking about WPay and all of those weekly Round Hill ones versus the YieldMax. And the thing with those is they do not do cover calls. The way that they are giving you money is they just leverage it by 0.2 and just give you the profit or the implied volatility. Like if it goes down, it cannibalizes itself really quick. But when it goes up, it's just giving you your like 0.2 of the leverage profit back. So it's been really good. You bought it in like May and it's been going up and up and up. That's actual money they earned by doing leverage, which you could do yourself. You can buy a call. When it goes up, you sell the call and then you get that profit. It's kind of like when people say like you can just sell your shares to get the income that you need instead of doing cover calls and making money. So Ulti will be interesting to see, well, how far can they go without having to do a reverse split? And if they do a reverse split, what will that do with their assets under management? And will the next, until my personal loan is paid off, will it be a bull run? Or are we going to see like a major crash and it's going to crash and burn and make me cry? And those are the only very, like Amy crying on the floor, or it's going to be fine. So that's also why I'm like, why don't we pay more margin down? Like you are probably, you have enough money coming in. It's just that it's not guaranteed. It's kind of like being a freelancer. So I won't know until the end of the month if I made enough money to cover my expenses. So it is what it is. If we're talking about Misty's not every month. It is every 4 weeks. That means it pays 13 times a year. It's a subtle but like distinct difference. That's why I'm still kind of, I think it's Grayscale. They have BPI and the other Bitcoin one that pay twice a month. And they said it's bi-weekly, but it's not bi-weekly because bi-weekly is every other week. Semi-monthly is twice a month. And so they pay on the 1st and the 15th, which is not bi-weekly because every once in a while it's more than 2 weeks. So it's 24 payments a year versus 26, which is fine. But it's still 24 versus 26 when you're doing the calculations. Okay. So that's the thing. I don't particularly want my shares of any of like the YieldMax funds to increase, but I also don't want them to decrease too much. Like I want them to, like, if Ulti has a 10-cent distribution, by the time the next declaration date is, I want the price to go back up 10 or 11 cents and then have the next 10-cent distribution. That way, when I go to buy it on the ex-div date, I'm buying it on a discount, but like my buying power hasn't lessened. When things work the way they're supposed to work, like in the SPY, if you don't buy it now, like in 6 months, like the SPY could go from $500 to $700, and you're like, but like now I could buy less shares because it's more expensive. So like I'm okay with it being very aggressive. Maybe we should tell them they need to do an HLTY, like HLTY. That's just like half of the implied volatility. Because like when you look at the holdings of Ulti, they're good things. Like they're things I would do cover calls on my own if I had enough capital to be in every one of those companies. I would do it, but I don't have enough capital, so I'm doing Ulti. Ulti's there to remind us why we don't go 100% into things that have incredibly high volatility, because you lose all your money. So it's there to like help you risk mitigate. Yeah. Oh yeah, no one should feel guilty or bad because I actually checked my HSA and I thought they were all on drip, but it turns out they're not on drip. So Misty's just been paying into my account the whole time since like July of last year. So like I just have a bunch of cash. And I was like, that's not, you're supposed to drip back into the fund. And I was supposed to come back in 2 years and be like, oh, look at all this money I have. Not like, but you actually have to reinvest. We should have a halfie. Where it's just like the same funds as Ulti, just we're aiming for 50% of the implied volatility. So if a fund has like an 80% implied volatility, we want to get 40%. That way we can get it. My biggest problem with the target funds for YieldMax in particular, because they're max, YieldMax, they're maxing out the yield, is like, I don't want it to be 25% implied, like just as a hard-coded percent. I just want them to go like shoot for 75% of the implied volatility that's out there. So if you have 100% implied volatility, I want them to shoot for giving me 75%. So like 25% out of the implied volatility that they calculate. That's what I would like, because like, no offense to YieldMax, but a 25% distribution, I may as well go into something like T-SPY or any of the other XCTE, because you have more competition as the implied volatility becomes less. But I do like the halfie. Just like Ulti, just keep half, not even like keep half, but just like try to go QLTY, quilty, and just do like a quarter, and then just the things from Ulti just at different yield distribution rates, because I think that I just think that they're too aggressive in general with Ulti, and so people are not quite so happy with like the NAV erosion. But when you are that tight in your calls and they have implied volatility and like the prices are going everywhere, you're just going to have days where like everything craps out. But if they were only like half as aggressive, maybe we would have price appreciation. And even a 50% yield is still more than YieldMax. So that's why I tried to talk them into like a weighted YieldMax. They were talking about Costco today. And I don't mind things like Berkshire Hathaway and Costco. But what I would like is if they actually own the underlying for things like Costco, because they pay a dividend. So you may as well get the dividend and then just sell cover calls on it. It's like how they had YBIT. It was based off of BITO for a while. And I was like, okay, but because you're doing a synthetic BITO, the distributions you're doing is basically the same as BITO. So you may as well just be in BITO. But if they had owned BITO and then they did cover calls on top of BITO, could have had way more distribution. I was in OMA. I've been hearing about how Berkshire Hathaway outperforms things, and I just didn't see it. So I'm not as bullish on it. I do like granny shots, but it doesn't pay a dividend. Oh yeah, so I think his name's like Kwon, right? He's just like a spokesperson so that Jay can have more time to actually do trading. So I'm not sure if that's something that we should lose confidence with YieldMax for, because from what I've heard from his credentials, I think his name's Michael, like Mike Kwon. He has a lot of experience. And the thing, well, first of all, Jay's very personable. So he's built up a lot of goodwill with the community of retail investors, and he's very knowledgeable, and he does very good interviews. But if he's a trader, he needs to do trading, he needs to do his job. So hopefully the new person they have picked out to be their spokesperson can also do compelling interviews. I think that's why the Granite Shares one that I did with Will wasn't as popular. He has a different personality, and he's not as technical. So people, like, as Americans, we kind of gravitate towards a certain kind of, is it Michael? It's Quon, right? His name. But it's the new spokesperson for YieldMax. But like, the CEO of Granite Shares, he's more like soft spoken, and so as like Americans, we don't really gravitate towards that kind of personality. But there's nothing wrong with it. And I do think that the Granite Shares yield boosts are interesting. I am not afraid of leverage, obviously. So I do think like I should position myself better for that when there is the next crash. I actually have cash to buy into these leverage things, because it's much better to get into leverage when it's like down 90% than when you're trying to buy it at the all-time high and to get the money that you need. So I don't know if I've told you all this, but there is a tiny song called QQI. It's AI like love. QQ. Their instant messenger is called Q, or QQ. It says QQ love. And every time I see QQI, I have to sing like the jingle of that. So yes, I will have QQQI in my portfolio at some point. I don't know if I can even share my screen. I'm looking because I'm in StreamYard. It's okay, but I have a rules for my own personal rules for investment for the rest of 2025. I am really really trying not to change any part of my strategy. Just stick with it for the next 4 months and just do that. But basically I have 2 columns, and I'm making my way through, like, I have like a gold and SPY column of like, these are safer things to get into. And then I have like, yeah, we're just buying Bitcoin. Don't mind me. We're good. So I'm buying Bitey and Blacks and Misty, but I'm going for 100 shares and then moving on to the next one, 100 shares, next one, 100 shares, and then just rotating through them. That way I'm in everything a little bit, but I'm trying to build them up because it's going to be slow. I've been doing a lot of bigger shopping hauls because I've been doing ridiculous shit, but now my condo is sold. I'm not taking out any more personal loans. I have to use most of my money to pay my actual bills, so I'm not going to be reinvesting that much. But hopefully early next year, after the first quarter, we can start doing more shopping sprees like that. Okay, yeah. So I like SPY. I like QQQI. I just think that the SPY and the NASDAQ 100 in general are good things to be in. And like, I should probably do more interviews and get out there more. It's just things are going to settle down here soon, And once I have my businesses up, and I would really love to focus on actually getting YieldCalc, which is very configurable dividend calculators. I really need one that I say I'm going to take 75% out for cash, or 50%, well, whatever percentage I want out as cash. I need to know what the total return is, and like how much is return of capital, and things like that. I really just want to get that up and running, and it'll be a subscription. And what I want to do is I want to do a bunch of very focused websites that do one thing very well. But if I have a subscription for one website, I would really love to just give you a code and say, like, just sign up with the same email, give me this code, and you just have access to all the sites as like a fun pass to like everything I do. But I would really love to, because YieldMax is coming out with an API, and I would really love to be able to make, they're called like 0 to 1 websites. They're basically like, I could run you through making a plain JavaScript little website that doesn't really get launched or anything, but it's a little project that does whatever the API does. I want to run through what we can make with it together. And that'll be, I have a coding channel, Bad Coding Decisions. And what is going to change with my investments after I'm out of debt? I'm probably going to sell it to Ulti, honestly. But I will be investing into more, well, both Bitcoin and more conservative things like gold and the S&P 500. But most of all, once I get to a certain point, I don't actually need more income, because when you're at a certain income, you have enough money to save for the things that you want. And if you have more income than that, the problem becomes taxes. I don't need to earn $20,000 a week in my taxable account when I'm not retirement age, because I don't want to pay taxes on it. So I'm going to start actually doing a 3 fund portfolio with like the VU, SCHD, and SCHD. Except I'm probably not going to do SCHD, because like, who needs SCHD when you're making 100% dividend with, or distribution with Ulti and, MS2 and all that stuff. So I'll probably just continue to I'll continue to buy Bitcoin stuff, and I'll try to increase my S&P 500, and just basically get more conservative, because as I have less debt and I need less money, that I can be more conservative. That's kind of a privilege at this point. What I would really love to do is, because I watch a lot of YouTube and I get influenced by all these influencers. You know how it is. I would love to have a separate account, maybe in Fidelity or Webull or something. Something that's not like my real portfolio, and just say, like, once a month, I'm going to do my research and we're going to put $1,000 into this stock, and just like let it sit there for the rest of time, and just to see, like, is this hype stock really worth it? Like, what are we doing? Just things that I care about, and or like somewhat care about, and just I have extra money, so why not? I would really love to be able to do that. And I also think about my nieces and nephews. I have 6 of them, and I would really love to be able to get them like a starter portfolio. I'm not sure how that works, because I'm not how it works, but like, I don't want to get in the way of them doing their own like personal development and like achieving adulthood. But I'm just not convinced that there's going to be good paying jobs when they graduate from college. So yeah, like, it might also look like, well, because I have my dogs, I probably won't be traveling that much because they're kind of vicious. They won't let like my dad come into the yard, so it's hard to like I don't really want to take long vacations anyway, but like it would be nice to be able to go on like a family vacation for like 4 or 5 days somewhere every once in a while. I think that as someone that has traveled in the past, like if you travel too much, it's not special anymore. So I mean, I love my animals. I don't really want to be away from them anyways because I like them, but like you know how it is. Like if you have the money and the time, may as well spend time with family, right? And people you like. But maybe it'll look like they have like conventions for startups and wealth building and stuff. So maybe I could do some speaking things. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but I'm pretty much happy like being in my house, having all the time in the world, doing simple applications. Basically, I have enough money from my investments that I'm not pressured to do anything. And so I can have whatever hobbies that I want. Most of them will be things that I want to do here that are quiet things. But yeah, I was not born in Tennessee. I was born in Florida, near Tampa, and I lived there until I graduated from college. And so we're from Florida. And then my sister went to law school at Georgetown in the DC area, and then she lives there, and then she had kids, and my parents were like, bye. I had just gotten back from China because I missed my family. I want to be closer to them. And then they moved from Florida to DC as I was starting my master's degree. So then I went with 3 years not being around them anyways. Nothing good happens outside of the home late at night. Exactly. Especially here in the mountains, there are coyotes and bears and rattlesnakes. And so, and meth heads, like there's nothing good that happens at night outside now. I have a master's in management information systems. So it's it's like a computer science degree, but it's more, it's less math, honestly. So a lot of people that get that degree become data scientists, but I was kind of stubborn and wanted to be a programmer. Yeah. I wish my parents would have let me rent their house from them until I had enough money to buy their house, but my uncle and aunt had a very, very bad experience with renters. And so my dad is like, absolutely not. Never rent. No renters at all ever again. Y'all, like, not to complain about my condo too much, but like it was $77,500 for me to close on it, and then that $10,000 for the air conditioning unit, an additional, well, it was $5,000 to pay the renter to move, and then like at least a couple of thousand to fix all the shit around the house. So it was expensive. Someday I'll have $500,000 in my taxable account. The thing is, Beeps, I cannot give financial advice. That's just like a regulatory thing. But if you ask your question, I can try to find a way to answer it without getting into legal trouble. The reason, well, there's a few reasons why I don't mind. Well, that's not true even. I have come to a compromise with my IRA and taking money out. The first thing is if I can get $500,000 now, or like if I'm living from this point until I'm retirement age, being retired, then it doesn't really matter. But also, because I have my LLC and I'll have income from like YieldCalc and YieldMax and all of that, I can put like, I think it's 20% of my revenue into a SEP IRA up to like $60,000 per year. So it's different than when you have a W-2 employer and you can only put $7,000 in. So, or is it like 23,000? It's a lot more money than if, like, as a self-employed person, I could put way more money into retirement when I have enough revenue. So, kind of like I'm earning money through the cover call ETFs to take money out now so that I can take my margin down and just make sure I have enough money to go forward and this is sustainable. But I'm not only going to do it for like till the end of this year and maybe going a little bit into next year. Just I just decided that I don't want to deal with my trailer mortgage anymore. I want like nothing. We're going to get all of my debt, all of this stress from debt taken care of. The margin debt, I don't normally mind. It's just that right now I have only like a 30% margin buffer, and like it's just not enough buffer. If I had like a 80% margin buffer, like it doesn't ever need to get paid off because it's, but hey, yeah, so it's like $70,000. So for the set, thank you, Anonymous. So, I mean, if I ever make that much money, then I can put that money into my IRA. So we'll see. Okay. How do you not feel discouraged when you're looking at little portfolios, or large portfolios and you have a little one? I don't really look at other portfolios for the amount. The only reason you should be looking at other portfolios is for their strategy and what they're doing, and does it apply to your own strategy? Everyone has their own journey that they're on, and like you'll get to where other people are someday if you're disciplined enough. And it's also your goal, because like it's not my goal to be a day trader and you'll get 400% in one day. Like that's not in my personality. I would not feel comfortable. I don't want to do that. And like, yeah, you could look and say like, oh damn, like that person got 400% profit in one day. Why can't I do that? And then feel inadequate. But like in reality, you just have to stay true to like your own risk profile. And yeah, thank you all for being here. I'm just getting through my sangria. And which is pretty good. I am going to stick to my current. M2 just asked, like, what are the plans going forward now that I have sold my condo? Basically, until May of next year, I am on my current course because I have the credit cards that are going to expire their 0% promotional period. And after that, I'm probably going to lose patience with all of this and just sell equity and get rid of my personal loan and just sell more equity so that my margin is not all left up. So we're waiting until May of next year. It's going to be really tight, a little stress inducing, but I need to continue earning as much money as I'm earning now so that I can pay off my credit cards and my personal loan as much as possible until May. And I have an entire document. I've actually written it down and thought about it, and we're just going to stick with this plan of action, which is like, if my portfolio is the buffer between 25 and 50%, whatever I can reinvest, I'll take 50% and pay off my margin, and 50% and reinvest it in what I've decided to reinvest in. So after May, I'm probably going to buy Bitcoin as my emergency fund. And I like the avalanche method, honestly. All of my debts are basically the same amount anyway. Like, my car is $30,000, but my trailer has $55,000. My personal loan is $50,000. So the personal loan is the only thing that has an actual interest. Well, my personal loan has 15.5% interest. My trailer has an 8.95% interest. And then my car has a 7% interest. So I'm not that interested in paying off my truck as much right now. I did earlier this year, I think it was this year, my car payment was $895 per month, and I brain farting on the actual term, but like, I like my truck. It's a 2023 Ford Maverick. It's one of the only 2 small truck models that are available in the US, and I needed something small because I only got my driver's license when I was 25 years old, and I drove for 3 years, and then I sold my Nissan Versa, which was my first car. And then from 2015 to 2023, I did not drive at all. So it was my first car, the first time driving in that amount of time, and I just don't like it. So my emergency fund is going to be going into BTC, so that if there is an emergency, I can then borrow against my BTC, which is what I tried to do in the first place instead of selling the BTC. But they weren't letting me borrow as much money as I needed. And in the end, I can be in like a Bitcoin related ETF, have it be a 25% margin maintenance. I'm still using my margin loan. So it's kind of like the same thing, but opposite. And I just don't own the Bitcoin anymore. The only problem is that, like, if it's not your keys, it's not your crypto. So you have to keep the Bitcoin on an exchange in order to be able to borrow against it. But if I don't have to borrow against it, it doesn't have to be on the chain until I'm borrowing money against it. So it's okay, because Bitcoin is like a growth play. So a Nissan Versa, it was it was basically it's one of the cheapest cars that you can buy new. It was like $13,000 because I bought the base model that didn't even have power locks or windows. And I sold it for $11,000 3 years later. So it was fine. The reason I bought it new, well, first of all, I was driving my grandma's minivan, and it had been like the whole extended family's car that whenever someone needed to borrow it, they would borrow it. And so no one was really maintaining it. And then it had been in a few accidents. And so I was using it, and like every month there was like a new $300 thing that went. And I got to the point, because I was taking my master's degree classes, and I had to go from my house, and there was there was a highway, and then there was a university class in the city. And I was just getting pictures of this van crapping out on the highway right before I had to take an exam or something. Or like I would get out of class at 10 p.m. So I didn't want to be on the causeway at 11 p.m. at night and my van, like I'm stranded. So I just wanted a good, small, reliable car that had great gas mileage. But now I have a truck because I live on a farm and sometimes I have to go and get hay for the sheep and I don't have garbage service, so I have to take my trash to the dump. And so it's nicer to have a truck bed to put all of the trash in. It's not in my car. I know I'm very spoiled. Oh yeah. So I have the setup to actually show the Canadian high income ETFs, but I haven't done that yet. But I'm really excited for that because you have like your own version of like Misty and all like the harvest ETFs, right? I had a really nice long conversation with the guys from Europe. Man, I know his icon. He has like the yellow lion icon. Anyways, did you know how much of a pain in the butt doing this in Europe is? It is unreal. The amount of hoops. Wow. Speaking difficult. How many hoops they had to go through. Like they had to, because the YieldMax is really like the first of its kind doing this kind of thing over there. So the regulators were giving them a hard time. And yeah. Health and Wealth is Canadian. I don't know if he actually invests in the harvest ETFs. There is one woman on here that covers them too. I do watch her every once in a while, but I'm like, I'm not Canadian. Why am I watching about this Canadian high income ETF, which I think a lot of people that are not Americans feel like when they're watching all of these videos about things they can't actually invest in, which I'm happy that you do that, but I know it doesn't feel great. Also, if you're investing at 21 years old, you are like beating the odds. I first knew about the S&P 500 because my college professor, it was a business finance class that it was a requirement for us to take it. And this professor was so bad. Like he got so excited about what he was teaching that he would be halfway through an example and he would say, but that depends, and then just not finish the example. He never finished even one example of how to get through this complicated math. And so I actually wound up having to take the class twice. And the second time, it was the only time I've ever paid for tutoring. And they had like pamphlets and stuff. Like you had to prepare because like he didn't teach the material, but he would rant about the S&P 500. But I never actually knew about like ETFs and mutual funds. I didn't know that you couldn't just like invest in the S&P 500. You have to invest in things that track the S&P 500. So, and also because I was living in China for 3 years, it's kind of difficult to bank from a foreign country. And I had signed like a power of attorney to my dad just so that like, hey Rod. But so I had a power of attorney with my dad, just, because it would be easier because he's in the United States. But the companies were like, she's able-bodied, so no, we're not going to respect your power of attorney, so you can't bank for her. So we tried, but like PayPal just like stole my money because I was in China and I couldn't like prove to them that I was American. So like I couldn't invest until I came back to America anyway. So also when I was around 25. So yeah, we have a dog spotting. Teddy is right here. He's a good boy. Yeah. Everybody having a good day so far? It's time to, he says that you have had enough to drink, but I should probably get some more. We're at the drugs. Are you going to steal my seat? Are you going to steal the seat? Are you cute? You can steal the spotlight. Oh, okay. No, he doesn't want the seat until I come back. Okay, he can have the seat. It's okay. What I'm saying is everyone has their path to investing, and there's people way older than 21 that haven't even started yet. But yeah, time in the market beats timing the market. So he'll get there. He'll get there. And like with compounding, it doesn't look like much, and then it explodes. So yeah, Ted Eddie's a good boy. Isn't that right, my good boy? Beef says that his cat's name is Meow Meow, and my cats are good too. I like being able to play with all my animals during the day now. I didn't see the first part of Screeching Possums, but it is very important to have your self-soothing mechanisms when the market is red. I do have on Financial Philharmonics, I have a playlist called Buy the Dip, if that helps anybody. It's just important to keep a cool head. And it's not like I've been shy about okay, hold on y'all, I need to wipe my nose. Okay, all four of my dogs are 3/4 Great Pyrenees and 1/4 Anatolian Shepherd. Those are breeds that are good for, they're called livestock guardian dogs, so they protect sheep and other livestock in the fields. But the Anatolian Shepherd part, the quarter that they are, it makes him or them kind of vicious, and they have all of the resource guarding and basically every kind of aggression. So when I make songs, it just depends on like what my inspiration is, but most of the time I give ChatGPT like what I want the chorus to be like, or like this is the general theme, this is the song style I want, and it gives me the lyrics. I change the lyrics in like my text editor, and then I just put on Suno AI and I change the song styles until one of them happens to be good. And this could take, 2 tries and it takes 5 minutes to do the whole thing, or I try 30 ones and it takes like 3 hours. But I like that as a hobby. So I've probably told you all this before, but we need livestock guardian dogs in the field with our sheep. And my dad had bought a purebred Great Pyrenees because there's different breeds for this, but Great Pyrenees are usually great with people, but kill everything that doesn't belong in the field. So, as soon as I moved up here, my dad was like, "You need a dog." And I didn't really want a dog because I have 2 cats and they're old ladies and they'd never really seen a dog before. And so I wasn't like planning on having a dog. So he was like, "Well, and I was like, "Fine, I'll go to the shelter. They are selling them for like $20," which is true. Cuz they're adult dogs and we're in the countryside and shelters are full, so they run specials where they're like, "This dog is $20," and I'm like, I'll go to a shelter dog. There's nothing wrong with shelter dogs. But my parents are like, "No, you have to get them as puppies." And like I've never been like a puppy person. Like I don't like I'll play with puppies, but there's somebody else's problem at the end of the day kind of a thing. So my dad gave me his dog. And then they took the purebred dog out of the field. And so we needed a new dog to go into the field. So we wound up on Craigslist, and there was a free dog. And she had actually attacked the lady's nephew. But it was like a really weird set of circumstances. Like the dog was in heat. They brought another unspayed female on the property. They were visiting and small kids, and they had told them not to go onto the side property because that's where her territory was. But like they ran through it, and she ran him down, and they couldn't keep her anymore. So we took a chance on her, and they didn't tell us she was pregnant. We took her to the vet. Vet also didn't say she was pregnant. And then a week after that, she had 9 dogs. And so, because we have a farm manager who's really just like, he's the tenant that lives on our property, that he lives here for free, but we pay him $200 a month to like mow the lawn, and then he keeps up with the property. That's what he pays in rent. So, the farm manager was like, "I'm not done with puppies." And so they're like, "Congratulations, Amy. You now have 9 puppies." And I don't know anybody. I don't know how to get rid of them. And so my friend took 2 of them. I wound up just giving one away for free on Facebook. One of them, my niece went to a private school, and like the teacher ran my mom down, was like, "I want one." But the other 2 that I wanted to, adopt out had 5 failed adoption attempts. And eventually I was like, I can't emotionally deal with this. I'll just have 4 dogs. It's fine. So, yeah, that's why I have way, way too many dogs. It was an accident. I'm not getting any more pets until I have less pets. Yeah, it is really interesting how other countries have different ways that they can invest. Because I think in Canada, you all get some kind of like tax advantaged account that's not an IRA, but it kind of acts like that. And that's really interesting. Yeah, I do agree that like tell us about my cats. Okay. So 2 of them are 18 years old. I got them the first year I lived in China. They lived with me for 3 years when I was in China. I brought them back with me. They're 7 pounds each. I would pick them up to come show you, but they don't like getting picked up. But Mei Mei is the one that you hear all the time. She's loud and she likes to get piggyback rides from me. So she's very demanding. Honestly, but every animal in my house is demanding. Who are we kidding? But the other 2 cats, they were from the barn, and I looked at their mom, and their mom was like 5 pounds, and I was like, I don't really want big cats. And I thought that they had been raised around my neighbor's dogs. So I thought that they would teach my dogs to be nice to my cats. And I also wanted to have outdoor cats because I figured they would be the cheaper vermin solution up here than whatever I was planning. So they were not outdoor cats. I made a Gold Digger song on the music channel. I made it was a parody of Gold Digger, and it was Bold Trader. I could make one that is actually about being a gold digger and investing in like GLDY. That might be fun. But yeah, so the boy, they're both black cats. And Morgana likes to go out my backyard, so she's still in the fenced area. And I don't know what she does, but she goes out the doggy door, she does that. And then Beelzebub, he goes out the doggy door in my front yard, and he goes off into the woods. But he only does it when I'm taking my dogs for the walk. And then when I'm done, I call his name loudly 3 times. And then he meows and he emerges from the woods like the demon he is. And I come and pick him up and we go inside for the night. So, but Morgana is good at catching vermin. So she has done that. I just wish that it hadn't been in the house, but I have a system, and I haven't had a vermin problem in a while. So oh yeah, so how much more time do we have on the stream today? I don't have the premium versions. I think I only have 5 hours total that I could do, but I don't think I'll be keeping you all here for 5 hours. I think my wine here is about halfway done. So I guess as soon as I don't have things to talk about, we can go on with our evenings. I don't feel that drunk, but I've also been talking a lot between sipping. And no, I don't want to chug because I don't want this to disagree with me. So what I was saying is, I spent so much time trying to get my HSA rolled over today that I didn't actually get my the businesses established, like I've been saying for like 3 days that I need to. So maybe after this I will drunk create businesses. No, you're not here too late. I pretty much did everything I promised I would do anyways. I talked about my net worth. I don't think that those are accurate numbers because it's not like I'm going to sell off. I'm not going to sell my trailer or my truck or out of the IRA. So there's really nothing to do with that. It's just it's just like an analytical like moment in time that's kind of cool to say, like, this is where I was this time in 2025, and maybe this time next year I'll double it or whatever. And then I talked a little bit about options. It's just kind of to get back to that. Every one of these fancy names that you get into, it's more important to understand like what is trying to achieve and in what situation you would want to do it. Like the iron condors and the iron butterflies and like the broken butterflies and all the weird names that people want to assign to this stuff. It's like, what are you trying to achieve? Like, what are we hedging against? What is the downside? And to me, it's more important to understand like why we're doing this approach than remembering what the fancy name for whatever is. But I'm still going to stand on my opinion of I would rather find a cheap stock that I want to own and do a regular dividend wheel on it, or just own 100 shares of something. I just, at this point, like, I would do cover calls on strategy, but it's $30,000 for one contract unless you're doing a leaps, and I don't want to do leaps with Mr. because it goes up and down so much. I probably need to check out your SMB channel, Mr. Money Finance and Other Stuff by David and Company. I witnessed this brain freeze. I just think that I kind of default to these high income ETFs because it really is so much easier to do your like sizing your positions and to make it appropriate to your size of portfolio. Oh, you remind me. Synthetic poor man cover call. Those are interesting because we keep saying like it's not like you can't replicate what YieldMax is doing, but they're doing a synthetic poor man's cover call, and it's not really available to retail traders because it involves you buy the call, but they're also, I think, they're selling a naked put at the same strike price. And what that does is you spent like $500 to get into your position that controls 100 shares. But you sold that put and you made $400. So you're only out $100. And that's what that synthetic does. Like it makes it so that you're not out as much money. And you can always buy or sell the put, but the reason why the way it's different for retail traders versus YieldMax is that I cannot do it naked. Like if I sell a put on something, I have that amount of collateral reserved. So I'm not really saving any money. The point of a synthetic cover call is that I bought the call and I sold the put, and it's only that $100 that's out. Like I don't have to have a whole amount of money set aside in case the trade goes sideways. So doing leaps, which is buying the call and then selling a call on top of that, or poor man's cover calls when you do the selling of the call on top of it. You can just do leaps by themselves, but it's different than a synthetic call, and it's just cheaper overall, except for when it goes against you and you're trying to get out of it, then it's really, really expensive. Yeah. So, hi, Deloitte 777. Okay. So I had a Web3 adjacent company, is probably the best way to put it. And I've been a part of a few is probably too many, a couple of hackathons for crypto related things. So like I've used Avalanche, and I've used Optimism. So I'm more interested in the utility of crypto versus, besides Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I'll go in, and I did 50-50 Ethereum and Bitcoin at the time because when I was investing in it to begin with, because I was like, I don't know which of these is gonna be the winner in the end. But besides like Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'm not interested in like these weird meme coins, except I would invest in a meme coin ETF, one that just is like, we'll invest in whatever crap. Because I would love to be like, I'll spend $100 on this meme coin ETF and let them invest in all the crap. And then, one day it'll be up 6,000% and I'll be like, fine. But I do think that a lot of people lose a lot of money in the weird altcoins. But the thing that I like about Web3, especially when I was first getting into it, is when you're in like Twitter spaces, there's a lot of talking about what do we want the future to even look like. So there's a lot of people are putting a lot of thought into how can we use this technology to make our lives and everybody's lives and our descendants, like what can we do to make everything better, and like how do we want to conduct ourselves. And so like those kind of discussions I really like being a part of that. But I don't really want to get sucked into any of these meme coins. I'm not interested in trying to get rich quick. I mean, besides, the Bitcoin and going into like CEPI or blocks that have the companies that are in the DeFi space. And, if you're going to be staking, you may as well just be in an ETF anyways. And like, if you're doing a Bitcoin loan, it's also like, would you be better off just having the Bitcoin ETF? Because whenever you transfer Bitcoin, it really is like when you go into the bank and you ask for Chinese yuan, they charge you a fee for converting it. So it really is money. And like if you bought gold, when you go to the pawn shop or wherever you're going to exchange the gold, they charge you a fee to turn that back into cash. So I would rather have Bitcoin and just store it in my cold storage and let it become more. And then I also like the Bitcoin ETFs and crypto ETFs in general because if I die, or like when I die, if they're in Robinhood, at least someone will know they exist. and there's a greater chance that it won't just get like thrown away in a dumpster. So, and there is a risk to staking. If you read the fine print, they're like, oh, by the way, you could just kind of randomly lose all of your Ethereum because you stuck it. Did you stuck it? It's because it's staked. So, And yeah, like, I'm not exactly the most up-to-date person with hot wallets and everything, but I use the Brave browser for banking. So I don't have any extensions, and I keep that up to date all the time with the security stuff. And I have a new profile for every one of my wallets. So, like, I don't want like a random cookie or an extension to get my password from my wallet and drain me. So, I just M2 was talking about a protocol could be hacked, and that's why if you and there's probably a conversation of that, but that's why like if you are just buying Bitcoin, it might be safer to use a Bitcoin exchange, because when like they allow different protocols to be a part of the ecosystem, then they can be malicious. So, but honestly, like, I'm sticking with Coinbase and Kraken because I'm not really interested in trying these weird things, and it just winds up being a scam and a rug pull. So yeah, in summary, what is the most secure? Going through an exchange that you trust, but don't keep it on the exchange, but using something like a Trezor wallet, which is what I have, but like there's other ones. There's on Reddit, there's a Bitcoin for Beginners subreddit where they have a wiki, and they walk you through what hardware wallets are available, and just choose one and only download the Bitcoin software, and just keep it not plugged in. Don't have it on the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or anything. And just like keep it off chain. That's the safest. Is you buy it and you immediately transfer it over. Yeah, but that's just from when I first did my research and my impression of everything. Maybe that is like old school now, but to me, like, there's a reason why people are buying Bitcoin ETFs, and it's because if you're not planning on keeping it for at least 2 years, it's cheaper to own the ETF, and then you don't have to worry about your Bitcoin being stolen. You have to worry about like their Bitcoin being stolen. But people know about it. It's an ETF, so like you're not actually converting it. It has an expense fee, but it like it's not like it's just one of those things where like people don't want to get rug pulled anymore. So I understand why people want to use ETFs, and even I, especially when you're borrowing against it or like trying to make income from it. To me, it doesn't make any difference whether you have Bitcoin and you borrow like a third of it and then you make it into ETFs and then you make the income and you like buy your Bitcoin back, or if you have it in the Bitcoin ETFs that are making money and then you just buy a Bitcoin. The only thing that it does is then you've locked in Bitcoin at that price. But otherwise it's like 6 in one, half dozen the other, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, and there's nothing, my screen name is Bad Financial Decisions. It's just that as long as you're aware of your risk and you limit the damage, like there's nothing wrong with degeneracy, okay? Like, there are things wrong with degeneracy, but what I'm trying to say is like, you know, like pigs get paid, hogs get slaughtered. So that's kind of like the opposite, the opposite thing. Anyway, okay, let me take a drink and then I'll try to make more sense. The way that I view it is, if it aligns with your risk tolerance and it is money that you're not going to miss or like you can not have anymore, then go with what you want to do. I do think the majority of our portfolios should probably be in like a VU. if you want, because a lot of the times what happens is you try to take a shortcut. It looks good. We've people are really good at making up stories in their minds in order to make the decisions they wanted to make in the first place. So I just think that we get really hyper and then we don't, we overestimate our risk tolerance, and then it goes in the opposite direction for even like a few days, and all of a sudden, you know, it's the end of the world. And it turns out I'm not actually that risk tolerant. It's just that I was excited. So I'm not going to look down on anyone for doing a degen play because I've done them. I'm in them now. But the caution there is that just make sure that you're in alignment with your risk tolerance, and that you've contained the fallout in case something bad happens. Any more questions? Yeah, Ledger is also a good option. Did you know that you're supposed to like replace your treasure like every 3 or 4 years? Hey. They're like external hard drives. They run out of battery. So like my master's degree I didn't have, it wasn't a PhD. So no thesis writing for me. My favorite class was statistical data mining. I wasn't good at the class. I just thought it was interesting because it's basically about manipulating numbers in order for the results to basically fall in a straight diagonal line, so you can predict the outcome based off of like one or more factors. And so it's just really interesting how people manipulate numbers to get results that they want. Yeah, and you know, it makes more sense to do leverage when you have less money than when you are, you know, trying to protect your wealth. And what amount is protecting your wealth is really up to you. But yeah, so am I even for Social Security, because I'm not going to have a traditional job from now on. I'm going to wind up paying like the 15% self-employment tax on the things from like YieldMax and YieldCalc and Bad Financial Decisions, which will get me like a non-zero number from Social Security. But is it even going to be around? Like, is there even going to be a Social Security when I'm old enough? And I don't know, but I'm also like, if I've been retired since I was like 39, do I need it? So yeah, so it's probably good that I'm still like working. I'm putting quotes there, but like I still have my they're not even side hustles. It's my company that I'm working on. And that way when it becomes more and more, I'll actually get Social Security number, not number, but like Social Security benefits when I retire. But I've been looking because I really need to stop trying to like get more debt, or like figure out creative ways to get into debt. I really just need to be out of debt. But if you're making at least $10,000 of revenue a month, you can then get a business loan. And that means I can open up like an interactive broker's account and have my business invest in high income ETFs as well. And if I have enough, then I can agree for that to be my salary. And then I'd have to talk to an accountant, but I think like I can convert that to a salary and then pay more for Social Security and then be able to, because it's a salary, put that into like an individual 401k. So, yeah, so hopefully I just don't earn zeros until I'm at retirement age. But the IRS has a website where you can check to see how much you've made per year. And I think that you can do projections. So you can see whether having like 2 or 3 years of zero is even going to affect in a material way what you're getting from Social Security. It's just that as a millennial, I'm not even convinced that like it's going to be properly funded and I'm going to have any Social Security when I grow up. Okay. Yeah, so I think I just did an LLC that is a disregarded entity as a series. So each of these companies are technically different LLCs, but I don't have to pay the $300 to make them into companies. But I do have to pay franchise tax separately for each one. However, I think they would have had to be taxed as like an S corp in order to do this. But I think that when I get to like $10,000 a month of revenue, if I ever get that much, I can afford to hire an actual accountant and tax attorney to you can pay to like change the business type. It's complicated but not impossible. So I mean the worst part, like in the worst case scenario, is I just form a new company with what I want that has the structure that I need in order to do my taxes in the way that I want. And then I just like sell my LLC to it. It's a future me problem. Yeah, so I'm reading this where it's like professional services such as CPAs are usually tax deductible and like kind of, and it depends on the year and like what's allowed. But yeah, for now I'm going to use TurboTax because it's not free, but like it's good enough. I'm only making like right now less than $300 for bad financial decisions a month. And then for YieldMax, it's been around another $300 a month. So we're not talking like crazy numbers as far as income is concerned. And the distributions are, I need to pay more attention to what the return of capital is, because you're supposed to do your schedule C, I think it is, every quarter. But if it's 100% return of capital, you don't, as a predicted 100% return of capital, you don't have to actually pay that to the government until the end of the year, when they give you the actual return of capital amounts. And then the amount that's not return of capital, you owe income taxes on. So I'm hoping that I actually have defined good for TSLW. Why have the Round Hill weeklies been paying well? Well, it has been, we've been in a bull run, and the underlyings have been going up and to the right. And so when you leverage that by 1.2%, you wind up having more money. Thank you so much for Michael Holiday for that donation. I really appreciate that. But when the stocks go down, in their prospectus, they say that they are going to pay you the implied volatility. So it kind of cannibalizes the fund while it goes down. So the weekly funds, they're really good in the bull market, kind of suck in the bear market. Everything sucks in the bear market, but it's probably a good buying opportunity if you're into Tesla during the bear market, because then it has 1.2 leverage. So you're going to see it go up again. So I just like Coinbase and Tesla. I don't think the way that they behave is good if you want to keep your NAV in a high income ETF. I like the basket stocks, not gonna lie, like Chippy and GPT and Glocks and YieldMax. Like those have more than one thing in it, and so we're not like, it's not our only hope. So, but they still have more leverage than like SPY or T-SPY or JEPI or JEPQ, which, yeah, in the future I'll be, as I don't need as much income, as I've paid off my debts and I've lowered my expenses, and we'll be fine to do things like that. Yeah, so I have not had a lot of confidence in the US dollar. Like, remember that time I was in TLTW for like 3 days because I was like, okay, I'm gonna hedge, and then I was like, oh no, treasury bills are awful. Why did I agree to this? But I do like gold, and I do like Bitcoin. I know that gold is going to underperform the market, but it's not supposed to overperform the market. I do like GLDY. I do have like 1,000 shares of that, and I'm working on my KGLD. Yes, I was missing a letter right now, and I have my 100 shares of GDXY. So I am working on I'm looking forward to being able to get into less leverage and just like more NAV stable things, and then eventually get into like VU and SCHG or like SPMO, and just or if I feel like being completely degenerate, just like SPMO and GRNY. Just like I do eventually. Right now, for a couple of years, we're going to have to bite the bullet and just invest in income. But it is true that they do cap your upside. So you're going to cap your growth. So eventually I have to invest at least some of this into growth. That way, eventually I can turn those outsized growth profits, take my profit and put it back into the high income ETFs if I ever need more money. So it is what it is. When I was returning my equipment, someone was talking about XRP, and I was like, yeah, I think there's an ETF about that now. And he said no, but there is. If they put it into a crypto fund, I wouldn't mind owning it, but I don't think I'm going to go out of the way of getting XRP. I think that's how we're going to do that, because the hardliners with crypto are kind of against it doesn't mean that it's not going to like catch on, because it's I'm pretty sure it's about making the foreign transactions easier to do. So and it's been adopted out. So yeah, I mean, I'm treating Social Security the same way I treat the income from YieldMax and Bad Financial Decisions, which is like it doesn't get incorporated in my plans or budget at all. And if I get anything, then it's a good thing. But if I don't, then I'm not like reliant on it. I'm not going to complain about an extra $3,000 to $7,000 a month. I don't know how much I'm going to get. So it would be a nice to have, if anything. I really just want the government to like have Medicare for all. That way we can stop linking healthcare to employment. I did buy or subscribe, I guess. I don't know if that's how you describe health insurance, but I did pick out a plan on healthcare.gov, but I'm not getting any discounts because I make too much money even without a job. And then it's kind of expensive, but it's not going into effect until October 1st. So at least a few times every single day, I'm like, hey dogs, I don't have health insurance. Could you please stop doing that? So I don't know what work units are. Oh my gosh. The only time I'm ever going to do rental real estate ever again is through a REIT, like just through the stock market. Or I like the idea of what my dad did with the farm manager, where like I would buy farmland and rent it out to someone who like I pay to just take care of the sheep, and then we split the profits of the sheep. That way I can help local people here that don't. Basically, I would love to do it for like people that just graduated from like farm management in college, and let someone put their own trailer on the farmland and manage the farm, and they can do their own thing. But that would be like in the future when I'm like, oh shit, I'm making like $1 million a month. I don't know what to do with shit. But we can, like, what's never had the AC unit crap out on it? Misty. It's so much of a headache, and like I'm so glad my tenant only like set my kitchen on fire and broke my toilet, and like I had to just replace the AC unit. It wasn't like I was reading email messages about how the new cooling system that they put in the building wasn't working, and so they were sending boiling water down to all of the units, and so like the AC in the hallways wasn't working, and they were sending like, it was during the heat wave of the summer, so it was like 100 degrees in all of the condo units. So I was like, maybe we should get out of this before we have, that $2 million special assessment and then paying to replace all of that equipment. Yeah, that would be great. So like, there's certain things where like the building could have gotten sued. Like there's way more risk in investing in the real estate, in my opinion. Anyways, I know that a lot of people have had luck with real estate investing. I think if there's ever like a real estate bubble like there was in 2008, there might be more opportunities for people to get into like real estate renting again, and it be I mean, a single house could be better, but like my sister's ex-husband had rented out his house to the same person for like a decade, and then he paid that renter to leave, and like they broke every single window in the house and peed on his carpet and like destroyed it. And I would care more about it, except my sister's ex-husband is maybe deserving of not nice things happening to him. I don't know. But like I think for me, like my there's a workshop that's across the gravel driveway that's on our property, and my dad said that I could like tear it down because it's old and decrepit. I'll put in like a greenhouse, and eventually I'd like to replace this single wide trailer with like a nice barn dominium, but not before I've like saved up $1 million, or just like enough to pay for it in cash. But on the other hand, when I no longer have these 100-pound dogs, I might want to explore more and, start traveling again. I don't know. I'm going to leave those options open, but I know that real estate, I know that I just had an incredibly bad time with selling my particular condo, and like not every real estate deal and renting situation is as bad as mine, because like people are wondering like, why did you sell if you had to pay $77,000? Well, it's because, well, one, I lost my job, and so if my renter also lost his job because we both worked for the federal government, I would be SOL. And then his rental, like that he gave me, $2,300 a month. Of that, there was a property management fee of $150. Then my mortgage was $2,000 and my HOA was $1,000. So, and I also had to have the insurance for having a rental property. So if you're losing $1,000 every single month to rent out this property, why would I continue subsidizing somebody else's lifestyle when I myself do not have a job. So I went ahead and paid the $77,000 just so that I would be less risky. And it's way easier to pay off $50,000 than it is to pay off $330,000 on an asset that it went from worth $400,000 to being $280,000. So it's not like it was a single family home that okay, so it was technically a short sale because I was short on the sale, but it wasn't through the bank because I had applied for a short sale in December of last year and they denied that short sale. So I had like debt and ruined my credit score, and I still owned the condo. So yes, I had to pay to get rid of my condo quite a bit. But overall, it's not the worst thing in the world for many reasons. But one of them being to be a landlord in Washington, D.C., I had to register as a sole proprietorship. And because it was a business and I was renting, it was a rental property. And so on my taxes this year, I can report this and the AC and all of the little improvement crap that I've had to do all year as losses against my income that I've had for 6 months this year. So my taxes are going to be very complicated and interesting this year. I'm not really looking forward to it, but I'll get enough back to pay for the rest of my personal loan. Who knows? I certainly don't. So it wasn't getting better. The HOA fee was getting more. The property value was getting less. And I don't have a job, so I'm not paying $1,000 every month for somebody else to live in this condo that I don't even want. So, you know, it is what it is. And I'm happy. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this. And I really do appreciate all of you spending your time with me on a Wednesday evening, getting drunk. Not really that drunk because I don't drink that fast, and also it's just sangria, but watered down probably because of all the fruit. But yeah, man, I am so looking forward to the future. Like, there's going to be nothing to complain about. I don't even know what we're going to be talking about besides, you know, high income ETFs and you know, LFG. Like, let's just go about earning as much money as we can. I still remain optimistic, even though like Ulti might be ultimately trash. I really like the fact that I have a fighting chance to actually live decently off of I have $100,000. And traditionally with the 4% rule, I would have to have at least $500,000. And I just don't have that much. But yeah, so I have one drunk story. It was in China, and I got invited out to a pool hall, and we drank cognac, and it was delicious. But at the end of the night, they hadn't bargained for how much we would pay for the pool table. And I was like, I'm not paying that much for a stupid pool table. So I didn't yell at the owner, but I was just like, that is way too expensive. And you're making, like, my Chinese was better. And it was just like, you're taking advantage of us because we're foreigners. And he wound up giving us like an 80% discount. So that was fine. I don't really like getting drunk or tipsy because, like, I don't know if there's a point past when you get dizzy, but I just don't like that feeling of like the world spinning. And I may have been drunk that one time I took Dramamine. The first time I flew to Japan, I got airsick, and I was afraid of it when I was going over to China. But I remember, yeah, it was a little high. So what did I think about China? It was different. Like it was fine. Like, okay, so the first year I lived in Bao'an, which is an hour outside of Shenzhen, which is a special economic zone. So it's kind of like not democratic, but it's just like more free than maybe other parts of China that's more conservative. But Bao'an is like the highest crime rate in the entirety of China. And so, and it was like in the middle of the boondocks. So they gave the teachers like 2 free movie tickets every month and a bag of rice and fruit and like free massages and things like that. So we were very spoiled, but every time I went off property, I would get called into the principal's office and he would be like, "Why do you leave?" And I was like, I would literally die for a McDonald's right now. Because nobody told me that there was a teacher's lounge that had good food. They had me eat the like crappy cafeteria food for like Chinese. It was like awful. Like cafeteria food, like not like I'm just not culturally used to it. I lost a lot of weight, which I guess is fine, but like it was rough. Because after they told me about the teacher's lounge, I tried to find it, but I didn't know there was 4 cafeterias, and so I wound up. They had a lot of Xinjiang boarding students. So they're Muslims, they have a special diet. But I saw those chicken nuggets and I grabbed the tray and they were like, "You can't have that." And I was like, "Over my dead body." I will have the chicken nuggets. And I'm just like, no. So they had to like walk me over to the teacher's lounge to bring me up. But I was just like, chicken nuggets, yes. But the second and third year, I worked on a Chinese military base. And it's fine because there's other foreigners, so you can, and it just got to every once in a while it would be like I have to go out with other English speakers and we need to talk English together. But otherwise, like it was very interesting to see how people lived and be able to talk to people, and everyone was very, very nice. Apparently I'm the same pale as a Chinese person right before they pass out, so everyone's always like, "Are you okay? You want to sit down? Do you need something to drink?" But it was like, and everyone's a person, so it was fine. It just got to the point where I needed to come back and have a real career and make real money. So yeah, I was an Asian studies major, and I was a Japanese language and literature major for 3 years, but then I took a Chinese language class and liked Chinese more, so I switched majors, and it was the easiest. It was 2008. It was like the easiest way for me to get to China. I just wanted to live in Asia. That was like the whole plan, which probably not the best way to go about that, but it was fine. But then the second year I was in China, they only scheduled, because the way that it works for teaching English in China is you contractually can only work 15 hours a week. That is full time. But it's up to 50, like you don't have to do 15 hours a week, but it's only up to 15 hours a week. Not 50, 15. So They only scheduled me for 5 hours to teach. I think it was actually 3 hours, and then another of the foreign teachers got jealous. I like took a class. So I only had to work for 5 hours. So I actually signed up for Chinese lessons at the local university. So I did take Chinese lessons. And like the first year they had like the program I did had Chinese language lessons too, and I had a private tutor before that. So yeah, I was learning Chinese when I was in China. The problem is I was in Shenzhen and then Changsha, and not like Beijing, where they teach you, like, the people around me didn't really speak Mandarin, so it was hard to pick up the correct, or harder to pick up the correct accent. You might ask why I was in Changsha. So one of my dad's employees quit to work for a startup that was Chinese based, and they got me into contact with them, and they were based in Changsha, and so I was supposed to work for them. So I got an English teaching job in Changsha, and then besides one business trip, I never ever heard from them again. So that's what happened with that. I mean, the thing about NAVDK is it's literally just options are expensive. They cost like 3 to 5 cents even to each contract to make them into existence. And then when you're wrong, it costs money to close them. So that's why it's never going to be free to do options. So, and you can't rely on the market always going up and to the right indefinitely. There will be times when the market takes a breather. So just putting that out there. Yeah, so I used to speak more Chinese, or like Chinese in general. I was always better at like reading it, which is nice, because my good friend, she got her master's degree when I was doing my first year in China. So when I was finished my contract, it was like 3 days before her final exam. So I went to Japan, and we traveled around Japan, just the two of us, for 2 months. And because she had been in Japan for a year, she spoke Japanese really well. Because I was in China for a year, I was better at reading the signs. So between the two of us, we went all the way up to Hokkaido, and then like we took a ferry up there, and then we cruised down to Nagoya, and worked our way back up to like Kyoto and Tokyo. So we went all over Japan, and it was great. So I don't know what Tastyworks is, but on Robinhood, like you can close it for a penny if it's a large enough thing, but it's usually like 5 cents. But all I'm saying is options are not free, so they cost money to do. So, and it costs money when you're wrong with like the direction of what you're betting on. So, it's not like a passive thing. So, yeah, so they teach Mandarin. So I'm more familiar with Mandarin. I'm really glad though that in Cantonese, to say yes, you can say hi, because that's also how you say yes in Japanese, and the Chinese don't really like the Japanese, so they just assumed I was speaking Cantonese. But yeah, I don't drink, I don't speak Canton, but yeah. Okay, I have not calculated how much I have spent on options with my broker, but it's only for me like a nickel every time. So I'm probably not anywhere close to $1,000 spent, but that's kind of, I mean, every broker is different. And honestly, a lot of these the issuers have access to different derivative products than we as retail traders have. So they have like the swap agreements and ETNs and ETPs and things like that. So I don't know how much it costs to open up those positions with swaps, but I do know it's not free. So I probably couldn't. Well, I would, if you use AI to translate it into Mandarin, could you then take, if it has subtitles, could you put those subtitles into Google Translate just to make sure that they make sense? Yeah. I almost, when I came back, I did take like a translator test on one of these websites. I think it was for something like Fiverr or the equivalent of. So I could have been doing translations from, I ranked like half. Like, yeah, it would have taken me a long time. But I could have become a Chinese teacher, but my pronunciation isn't that good. I would always feel very self-conscious about that. So all I need to do now is get YieldCalc up, spend time with all that stuff, and be like, hey, y'all, we're going to be learning languages now so that I can start doing my hobbies that I've been putting off because I've had to have a job. And now my job is to earn money through high income ETFs. The Gemini IPO is coming out. Is anybody interested in that? Well, I think what I would be interested is for its inclusion in something like GPTY. Like, I don't need to own Gemini because I also wasn't aware that it was different than, I thought it was put out by one of the bigger companies like Microsoft or something. But like, I don't know if I want to bet on any particular technology in the AI space because nobody knows which is like the next Google. I mean, I do have a lot of horses into AMD and Palantir, and I've kept NVIDIA because it's such a large weighting in the market that it might not have like the parabolic growth that it's once had. I think that we're going to continue to have like strong growth from it. But yeah, when everything is Gemini, it's kind of hard. Like nothing is Gemini, right? The credit card, which I got the bonus for the beginning bonus, you have to spend like $3,000, which is like fine. I actually got the bonus when I used it for the ticket for parking at the airport in July. So no, I didn't run out of sangria. I'm just talking, so I'm not drinking. Also, I think I'm going to go put the rest of the sangria away. We have around this much left. we started at around 3 milliliters. So I think we made a good progress on this. And now I can drink sangria when I have my fajitas for the rest of the week. And I've been having a lot of fun recording videos. I'm not sure if I haven't actually been yeah, so for my memberships, I've been trying to do not coding stuff, and I've been having fun recording things, but I haven't had fun actually uploading the things. But I did make pumpkin butter cups. So basically combined pumpkin puree with almond butter and melted chocolate into like cupcake cups. And recording myself doing that. So that'll be a membership video. But the first day afterwards, it didn't taste that good. But now that the taste is settled, the taste has been better. So I'm hoping that's what happens with the sangria, because like if you've ever had pineapple upside down cake, it's better like the second and third day, because like the flavors had time to disperse. And like, so I'm just wondering, and this is good, but I don't want to drink too much and get actually sick. So yeah. I also recorded myself making the fajitas because I'm fancy. I was like, and I bought limes and guacamole and an onion, and you know, we're just gonna have fun making easy things for me to make while I dip my toes into cooking more, as I need to actually clean out my kitchen so I have more than just like my stovetop to work in. It's okay, Anonymous. We need to have a responsible person in the room that's like, hey, you've been drinking for the last 3 hours. You doing okay over there? Which honestly, it's like my third cup. So a cup an hour, that's really not that bad, right? Right. I need to try the actual fruit, because like this is a green apple. I'm pretty sure I was just asked, what is my internet download and upload speed? Do I look grainy or something? Because I don't know if I have extremely high internet, but it's mostly fine. I think we have fiber. I'm not sure. I'm just looking outside because it rained a lot this morning and it's getting dark. Yeah. You know, if I'm done drinking, we can just... Are you going to let us do this, babe girl? Are you going to let me sit down with you? No? No. Okay. No. You're going to knock out all my teeth? Oh, just don't knock out my laptop, please. Yes. Hold on. Let me put this down. Yes. Yes. Okay. They get excited because I don't go down on the floor so much. They ask, are you okay? Am I okay? Do I look okay to you? So, yeah. This is from when they were puppies and they used to actually fit on my lap. Honestly, dogs are better than people. Please don't try to drink my sangria. But the reason why there's so many bags of dog treats up there is I have popsicles. And the way that popsicles work is they have these molds, so you can actually make your own treats. So the way I've been making their treats is with peanut butter and just like the crumbs that are left over in your treat bags. And I just need to make more treats because they love popsicles. So it looks hoarded, but I have plans for those treats. Miss Good Girl. Yes. Yes. And if you watch the membership video, the plan was to show a video about making the sangria. But at 5 o'clock this morning, I got woken up and there was definitely a wild animal in my house, but I couldn't tell if it was a bird, but it was screeching. And yeah. So 5 in the morning and I'm dealing with wild animals and the dogs did not help. I mean, they thought they were helpful, but they were not helpful. But we got the animal out of my house and I put down rat traps underneath my house. So win-win. Yeah, so when we get off this live stream, I will go and play with my other dogs that are crate and rotate on the other side of the house. And you all can see all of this. This is from, I just threw their dog food and the treats I got from Sims Club over the weekend on the floor, and I need to put it away. It's a work of art. I mean, just a work in progress. But yeah. Anyways, they make it worth it living out here. Like, they give me reason to go outside and exercise every single day. They give me a reason to take breaks from working. I spend time with them and they give me affection. So okay. I don't think anybody should YOLO everything into anything. That might be a spicy opinion. But right now, I could not make enough money on like XDTE to be able to not have a job. And since I don't have a job, and it's not like you can just YOLO is you only live once. And there's two types of YOLO. There's the motto, which is how that phrase became popular. And it means, do crazy shit because you only live once. And then there's the Lonely Island YOLO, which is you only live once. So you better be conservative AF with everything. So most people, when they say YOLO, they mean the live crazy, live large, you only live once. But I am usually more like a Lonely Island YOLO of like, I need hand sanitizer and protective puts and things like that. So yeah, I'll never really be like YOLO'd into one thing in particular. I might be like 50% gold and 50% Bitcoin, but that's like the biggest YOLO of them all, is just like, do you believe in Bitcoin, and do you believe in it enough to put a substantial amount of your net worth into it? And my answer is yes. But again, I need to work. So, or I need enough money from income in order to be able to not work, or at least to work on my own company. So, after my personal loan is paid off, then we can do degeneracy. So, I think the worst thing with YOLO is if you make the bet that you're going to die young and then you live to be very old. Like, there's, when you don't have any goals anymore, life kind of loses meaning. So, I'll always have goals. It's not like, I've heard about like the arrival fallacy of like, when I reach this goal, I'm going to be happy. Or when this, not like a happiness thing, but I always want to have goals for myself to be able to achieve them so that I can feel accomplished and have something to work towards and to feel accomplished. So, for hand sanitizer, it's kind of like, how often do you use the hand sanitizer? Because you can overuse it, and that's not great either. But like, I keep my car keys on my belt loop because the way that my anxiety works is if I put it inside of my car keys in a purse, I would check my purse nonstop, like 20 times. For me, I'd rather have my car keys just like on my belt loop, even if it makes me look like a janitor, because I can hear it jingling. I know it's there. But I keep my hand sanitizer on the keychain in the belt loop. So that way, like after gas, if there's no soap in the bathroom or whatever, I'll do it. But I used to use it just like when I took the subway, when I got off the subway into the office, I would just use it because I'm a germaphobe. What can I say? I like blocks. And I'm not ashamed to say I'm inclined to like blocks because the income architect likes blocks. But I think blocks is kind of like CEPI and LFGY, where it's good. Yeah, it's just like a carabiner. I bought the fancy one where it twists, so you have to worry about like the carabiner being weak and you just like losing your keys that way. But like the idea of like, I can hear it and I can just like brush my hand against it, and if it drops, I'll definitely hear it. It's heavy, but I just like before I do that, I would put it in my purse, and what happens is you check your purse, but then you're like, oh, did I do it in such a way that it actually fell out of the purse? So then you have to check it again, and then it just was annoying. So I was like, there is a way to go around this, even though my mom makes fun of me for looking like a janitor. So it's just like a thing. It doesn't have anything to do with high income ETFs or investing. I'm saying that like I like the fact that whenever I go out, I have hand sanitizer on me. It's just a habit. But they do like spreads for blocks, right? So blocks was on my watch list, but because my HSA, I didn't set up drip correctly, or I took it off. Like I really could have sworn that it was on drip. And so I just haven't checked on it in a while, because if it's dripping, you don't need to babysit it. But no, there was just like $5,000 sitting there. So my HSA now has blocks in it, because I also remembered it as being 50% Bitcoin and 50% Misty, but it actually was like 50% Bitcoin, 30% Misty, and 20% the Round Hill weeklies. So, but now we have blocks and T-Spy. So, yeah, so they do a lot of different blocks, does different strategies. I think it's like a box spread. But basically, they don't want to sacrifice the upside too much. And they're in actual companies, and they're in the crypto sector. And so it just aligns with, yes, like be in Bitcoin, but also be diversified within crypto. I have it with Fidelity, and I'm in the process of rolling the other ones into Fidelity. And the reason for that is Inspira actually charges you to keep your account open. I think I started YieldMax in like July of last year. It could have been a little bit later. It's not that complicated of a website. It was just one of those things where I needed a way to compare these funds easily. And so it became a thing. So, but now I'm like trying to automate it so that we can have more guaranteed, like if I get sick or something, or if I really want to focus on different things like yield calculate, that I can go do that, and yield might still be, updated at a reasonable time. Did I mention I don't like Fidelity as much, like their user interface, as Robinhood? I know that Robinhood is really like got their gamification going on, and I know it doesn't even matter, but like it took a lot of clicking around today to find what I needed. But I think that if I stop drip and I manually reinvest and I'm in there more, that it won't be so bad. But I was just trying to find yeah. I do like they have like their investing like desktop app. I did like that. It just like it takes a little bit of getting used to. Hi, Clive. Welcome. Is Wealth Simple available in the United States? Is that popular in Canada? I think I've told you all my opinions of like, I'd rather be in a Fidelity or Robinhood or even Vanguard than like a Webull or a Moomoo. And it's not even, it's just like, when it comes to my money and where I'm putting in trades, I'd rather be in something I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get rug pulled. And if the company's been around for 100 years, that's probably not a rug pull. But I just don't trust them. And so for me and my own money, I'm not going to go with Webull or Moomoo or anything like that. I ditched Vanguard super hard. They were like, you can't have Misty. And I was like, oh, I can't be in Vanguard anymore. I did hear about all those fees. I did keep my traditional IRA in there for an extra year because I was like, you have enough money in your retirement accounts that if you don't do anything stupid, you'll be able to retire at retirement age. And so I didn't want to mess with that fund because I don't want to do anything stupid. And they had a lot of restrictions. Unfortunately, that's not that's not how it works. And you know what? Nobody is better at managing my money than I am. I know that a lot of people don't want to deal with it or whatever, but it's really just not that complicated to invest in VU. And like most people can just invest in VU and it's fine. It's not that complicated to invest in YieldMax. Have 75% VU and 25% YieldMax, and you're good, you know? Yeah, like brokerages are like education, like the way that Dave Ramsey describes it. It's like you should look to see what you actually need, and then you should accomplish it in the cheapest way possible. But I'm also going to go with institutions that are, accredited. Okay. Well, hopefully it's well known in Canada, and that's really cool. I almost made my company called Bad Financial Decisions just to see if it would get flagged in a system somewhere. I also kind of wanted to call my company Nothing Sus, but I went with High Yields. I'm not sure if I would go with their logo is green as a reason to like. I know, I guess subconsciously you can be more favorable to things that you have like a positive reaction to. But like I was wary of Robinhood due to the fact that when they were doing really well, that when GameStop was doing really well during the pandemic, they shut it down. And I was like, that's not how you treat people. But technically they apologized. So Robinhood's not your friend. Fidelity is good and respectable, and it just depends on like, I was expecting to use more margin than doing options. So I wasn't really doing comparisons for like which were the cheapest contracts because I was expecting to use more margin. So so yeah, I did register my company as High Yields, HAI, like yes yields. And then every series will have their different names. So it'll be the PS YieldMax and PS Bad Financial Decisions, or I guess PS BFD. And then I think I'm going to have a PS Bad Labs LLC. And the Bad Labs are going to be like Yield Calci before it's ready to launch, and like all the experimental things in the coding channel. Oh yeah, when they have like the 3% match and the 2% match, the 1% match, it's very nice. Which kind of reminds me that I think I initiated the rollover for the HSAs, but I didn't initiate the rollover for, there's like a random, I'm just looking because on camera my hands look really dirty. You all are so dirty. My hands look dirty because I've been petting you. Sorry, got distracted. But nope. Brain empty, mind blank. But yeah, I'd like Fidelity for my HSA. I'm going to move eventually all the rollovers. All of these companies make it so much harder than it needs to be. It could just be like they do EBT in a single day over, but they're like, no, we have to send you a check and then you have to send it to the next institution. It's dumb. Yeah. I'm glad that Robinhood finally put in, okay, maybe instead of just saying yeah, I could actually read the comment. You doing okay over there? They're playing. Distracted by the playful puppies. They miss me. I'm just making sure that it's actually playing and not escalating, right? You look like you're playing. Okay. Yeah, so Robinhood did a new feature for, they're actually showing you how much how much each of your positions take up of your margin. And now it's actually available on the desktop, which I appreciate. There was an average of okay, so the average salary in the USA is $65,000, but I am a computer programmer, so I've had a pretty high salary, and up until I decided to move and I got laid off in 2023, I was only spending like 50% of my income. But for the last 2 years, with basically the entire time I've been living out here, I'm spending 90% of my income on just bills. So I'm just gonna be I'm excited, even though I don't have a job, that soon I'm gonna have a reasonable budget of like all of my bills, and living expenses are going to be less than half of my income, and then I can use half of my income to either make it so I can make more income or put it into growth stocks so that I can have more money in the future to then convert into income stocks. That's why people say, like, don't be an income if you don't need income, but I do need income, so I'm going to be in income. Yeah, so the reason why you have an amount available and then you don't have enough money to withdraw that amount is because the amount that you draw is not marginable. So it shrinks the available margin by like 3 or 4 times. So that's why I took out my personal loan, is because it is so hard to tell how much money you can actually borrow with Robinhood on the margin loan. And so, and I wound up having to like, I should have, taken out the personal loan. Then I should have rolled over my IRA. But I'm assuming that it would have turned out to be basically the same thing. And, you know, in a year from now, I can attempt to do the indirect rollover again. It's just that, like, at some point, I would really love to stop messing with my retirement account and make most of it into growth funds. And, you know, if I'm making $10,000 a month with investing, invest that into growth stuff. And then when I'm retirement age, I'll have more money for retirement. So I'm pretty sure right now I could just sell basically all of Ulti and just, I would have less money to pay my bills, but having less margin would be less stressful for me. But I made my choice and I'm laying in it, and it will either be fine or it won't. So that's fine. But yeah, margin is, you'd think it would be easier to calculate ahead of time. Like, buying this would affect it like this, and this isn't marginable, so it's going to make it this much less. But I have been caught in it. Like when I bought the leaps, I was like, oh shit, and I have like 10% margin buffer. Maybe we should go fix that. I will have to find the Fidelity margin calculator then. I'm not sure if I have, because I don't have options enabled on Fidelity. I have not asked Robinhood if they will take out the prediction markets. I don't like that. It feels too much like gambling. Not that investing in Ulti is not gambling, but I guess you could argue that investing in high income ETFs isn't investing either. It doesn't fit the, the traditional mold, but okay. Neiman, at least I'm hoping that's how you say your name. One drunk swipe could blow away my account. I hate how Robinhood decided that like swiping left and right does actions. Like, IFAT fun things. Hell, my cat could walk across my screen and make transactions. And I swear she's tried to do that a few times. And you know what? I mean, it would be my fault for having my phone open to Robinhood and letting her walk across my cell phone. But still, like, I don't want my cat, like, I love my cat, but I don't want her to make investing decisions for me. So, although Mei is probably a better she's better at single stock picking than I am. So anyways, my throat is starting to get sore. So I think this is enough celebration for me tonight. I will update YieldMax at some point, probably tomorrow during the day. And yeah. Richard Woolley says, you have to treat high income ETFs the same as like an annuity. Just hold it forever and keep taking distributions. Yeah, that's the best philosophy. You might have to reinvest a little bit to keep the same buying power, but it is what it is. Yeah. I feel like it's just a good way to keep your portfolio in proportion with doing options. And you can do your own options, like a combination, just to get it. Like I just don't have $1 million or so to keep it proportional for me to do my own MSTR contracts. So I know a lot of people over leverage their portfolios in a lot of ways, but it gets the job done. And so anyways, I'm gonna wish y'all a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Yep, and the stream.